So folks, we've got 5 lists. The first 3 are consent calendars, and just so everybody knows about what, and you saw this on the floor already. Some of the other committees already rolled out this mechanism, which is nice because it's very efficient. These are all bills that these House bills are cross files to Senate bills that we are identical to the Senate bills and have passed unanimously out of EEE and unanimously on the floor. So obviously you have the opportunity to pull one out, notwithstanding what I just said. So with that said, we're going to start. We've got consent calendars 26, 27A. We'll do them separately. But why don't you look through, let's start with 26. You look through the list. Again, these are bills that passed, the Senate bills passed unanimously out of this committee. They're identical, but you still have an opportunity to pull one off, pull one out if you'd like. Just take a little glance through here. Okay, does anybody want to pull anything off of here?
Just number 26, what we're doing now?
26.
26, move favorable on the consent calendar for
Number 20.
Number 26.
26. Okay, is there a second from Senator Brooks? Okay, any discussion about anything on this consent calendar? Okay, all in favor of consent calendar number 26, raise your hand. All opposed, that consent list number 26 passes unanimously. Let's next move to consent calendar number 27. So everybody take a look through this list. And again, these are all bills, House bills that are identical to the Senate bills, which passed unanimously out of this committee and on the Senate floor.
Move favorable on consent list number 27. Okay.
Okay, we have a favorable motion and a second. Again, take a look through the list. Okay, seeing none. Okay, all in favor of consent list number 27, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, number 20, vote list number 27 carries unanimously. And then finally, we'll go to consent calendar number 28. Again, now, what do we want to do?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
could I please pull off House Bill 738 for consideration and vote separately? And then I'd like to move the rest of the voting list number 28, other than House Bill 738.
Okay, does everyone understand? And just we'll give a little explanation. I think 738, this will be the very
Yeah.
Yeah, you
was gonna
can
speak to
explain.
it.
Yeah, speak to, well, why don't you tell?
Okay,
tell
the reason
what
I'd
you're
like
doing.
to pull House Bill 738 is that Delegate Wims is a new delegate, and I suspect this may be his very first bill, and I think he would probably be really happy to see it voted separately rather than on consent. So it's just a courtesy. 738.
Yeah, okay. So again, Sir Vice Chair Kagan will move all the bills on consent calendar number 28 with the exception of 738. Everybody understand that? Everybody looked at the list? Do we have a motion?
Move favorable.
Second.
Okay, motion favorable and a second, again, on everything on here but 738. All in favor, motion, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, can we take up now?
Move favorable on House Bill 738.
Okay, we have a motion, a second from Sir Augustine. All in favor of House Bill 738, Delegate Wims, raise your hand. All opposed? That bill carries unanimously. Now, let's move to the other 2 lists. We've got voting list number 29, and let's just go down the list. HB1. We had a Senate Bill 1 in this committee. Now we have the HB1 in this committee. We're going to go to you, Dara, and remind everybody about what adjustments they may have made to the bill that we passed previously on this topic, okay?
So this bill is identical to Senate Bill 325. And to give a refresher of what the bill does, it requires producers of architectural paint sold at retail in the state or a representative organization acting on behalf of the producer to submit a plan for the establishment of a paint stewardship program to the Department of the Environment for approval. It also establishes an implementation timeline and requirements, as well as annual reporting requirements. It also requires the payment of plan review fees and annual report review fees to the department. Lastly, the bill establishes a uniform paint stewardship assessment to cover program costs and a prohibition on the sale of architectural paint unless the producer or its representative organization is implementing an approved paint stewardship program.
Okay, so these are bills that, yes, we passed, but they did not pass unanimously necessarily out of this committee or unanimously on the floor. So that's why these aren't consent calendar kind of bills. And so with that said, on HB one, cross-file Senate Bill 325, which previously passed.
Second.
Yeah, questions, discussion, yes? Oh, motion favorable from Senator Brooks, second from Senator Augustine. Any further discussion about this bill, HB one? Okay, my recollection is we didn't pass this unanimously, so we're gonna do a roll call on these bills and just for some of these bills, maybe the analysts can remind everybody what the vote count was, and if people have a question about how they voted, if they forget. Okay, so that said, we're gonna do a roll call on House Bill 1 on this one.
Okay, Senator Kagan,
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes, Senator Augustine,
Yes.
Senator Augustine, yes, Senator Gallion, Senator Gallion, no, Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Watson, yes, Senator Lewis Young.
Yeah.
Senator Lewis Young, yes, Senator Brooks.
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes, Senator Carosa.
No.
Senator Carosa, no, Senator Washington.
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes, Senator Salmonair.
No.
Senator Salmonair, no, and Senator Feldman.
Okay, yes, bill passes 7-3, one excused. Okay, let's go to House Bill 19, Dara, from Delegate Morgan.
House Bill 19, Natural Resources, Northern Snakehead Common Name. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 207 as it passed the Senate. The bill establishes the common names of the Northern Snakehead as Chesapeake Channel.
Okay, everybody remember this one? Okay, I don't know. Okay, we had a motion from Vice Chair Kagan. Who was the second from?
We have a new senator. that
Yes,
just
we do.
joined us.
We do.
We need to see her. Why don't you all come in?
Okay, before we take a vote, let's do a quick introduction. Senator Gallion, I assume you want to do the introduction as opposed to
Sure,
me?
so,
Okay,
Quick introduction. It's spring break in Harford County. So my wife Sonia and our 4 daughters are here. This is Helen. Okay,
I only
only 2 are
see
here
2.
right now, and that's Marie. So
2 are
Yeah.
missing in action. so-
that's right. So they're
Oh,
in.
well.
Check it out next.
Bill
or
that we're
next.
gonna vote on right now.
We are voting about renaming a fish that's now currently snakehead. I'm going to change it to Chesapeake Channel. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so it has a scary.
So it sounds a little
name
better, so more people want to buy it,
And eat it.
and it'll taste better.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. All right.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Now when you're on
right.
TV.
Okay, well, everybody,
right.
you tell them they're on television, being streamed to millions and millions of people across the world. Okay, so it's a moment of fame.
That might be hot.
Okay, so before we went to introductions, we had House Bill 19. We had a motion from Vice Chair Kagan, a second from Senator Augustine. Okay, again, what was?
This was unanimous.
Okay, this one was unanimous. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 19, raise your hand. All opposed, this bill carries, the cross-file carries unanimously. Let's next go to Delegate Guyton, House Bill 60, Stacy.
House Bill 60, Rehabilitation Services Disability Definition. This bill, for purposes of identifying individuals eligible for rehabilitative services, alters the definition of disability to be any physical or mental impairment that constitutes or results in substantial impediment to employment or independent living. And the purpose of the change is to more closely conform this definition to related definitions under the Federal Rehabilitation Acts. There are no amendments and there was no opposition at the hearing.
Okay, so this is not a bill that was no cross-file. We did hear this bill. Any questions for Stacy on House Bill 60? Any discussion, any motions? There a motion, favorable motion from the Vice Chair, second from Senator Brooks. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 60, raise your hand. All opposed. HB 60 carries unanimously. We're going to go next to HB 78. Dara?
House Bill 78, Maryland Environmental Service Governance and Requirements. This is a departmental bill that makes changes to the governance and administrative requirements of the Maryland Environmental Service, or MES. The bill authorizes the Secretary of the Board of Directors of MES to delegate certain responsibilities to an employee of the service. Under the bill, MES is authorized to provide a proposal instead of a proposed contract to a municipality or person, specifying the type of project or services to be provided and related terms, conditions, and costs. MES is not obligated to provide a project or services to a municipality or person before a contract has been executed by the parties. Provisions related to MES execution of a contract are modified to remove the requirement that MES implement the contract term as soon as possible and to instead require MES to act in accordance with the contract terms. Deadlines for the existing required annual financial audit and annual summary report are standardized to November 15th each year. There's no opposition to this bill. There is one amendment from Senator Kagan to change the effective date of the bill from October 1st to July 1st of 2024.
Okay, Senator Kagan, you want to speak
I
to
had
the
a-
amendment?
I had a really good reason for that. And I think Jeff Tosi is going to remind me what my really important reason for that amendment was. Do you mind if Mr.
Yeah,
Tosi comes forward?
absolutely. Come on up.
I have the note in here, but I don't have the why.
Hi, good afternoon. Jeff Tosi, the Director of Government Affairs, yes, for the record. Yeah, so there are a few changes that relate to the annual financial audit. And this would align the bill and with the changes that we need for the annual financial audit so that the rules are going to be the same when we procure that audit. If the bill is effective in October, then the auditor will be working under one set of rules, and then on October 1st, a completely new set of rules. So that's the reason. It's really just a technical change. Thank you.
Move the brilliant amendment. please,
Okay,
Mr.
Vice Chair
Chair.
Kagan moves her amendment. We have a second from Sarah Augustine. We have an explanation from Mr. Tosi. All in favor, raise your hand on this amendment. All opposed, amendment carries. We now have House Bill 78 as amended in front of us. Any discussion, questions, motions? Sarah Augustine moves the bill favorable, second from Vice Chair Kagan. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 78, raise your hand. All opposed, HB 78 carries unanimously. Okay, House Bill 367, Stacy, this is one that I know is not a unanimous vote, and we will have
That's
to take a
right.
roll call, but if you want to refresh everybody's memory.
Certainly. House Bill 367, Community Colleges Contraception Access Requirements. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 527 as passed by the Senate, but was not unanimous. This bill requires each community college, in consultation with students and student organizations, to develop and implement a plan to provide students with access to over-the-counter contraception by August 1, 2025. By September 1st, 2025, and annually thereafter, each community college must report to the Maryland Higher Education Commission on implementation of the plan. By October 1, 2025, and annually thereafter, MHEC must report to the General Assembly on the information collected. On request, the Maryland Department of Health may assist a community college in developing a plan and consulting and collaborating with organizations with expertise in providing access to over-the-counter contraception through vending machines. The vote in EEE was 7-3-1, and then the Senate floor was 34-13.
Second.
Okay, we had a motion from Vice Chair Kagan, second from Sarah Augustine. Any further discussion? I think we discussed this first time. We're going to do a roll call, of course, certainly on this one. Lemuria on, again, House Bill 367, roll call.
All right, Senator Kagan,
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes, Senator Augustine,
Yes.
Senator Augustine, yes, Senator Gallion.
No.
Senator Gallion, no, Senator Watson.
No.
Senator Watson, no, Senator Lewis Young,
Yes.
Senator Lewis Young, yes, Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes, Senator Carosa.
No.
Senator Carosa, no, Senator Washington,
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes, Senator Salmonair.
No.
Senator Salmonair, no, and Senator Feldman.
Yes, bill carries. I think we had 4 red votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, 6-4. Okay, well, let's go next to Delegate Atterbury's bill, House Bill 472. Stacy?
House Bill 472, Education School Mapping Data Program established. This bill is also a cross-file for Senate Bill 540, but there's a slight difference here. This bill creates the School Mapping Data Program to be administered by the Maryland Center for School Safety to provide funds to local school boards to produce school mapping data for each public school in the county, including charter schools. It authorizes the School Safety Subcabinet to use funds in the Safe Schools Fund to make grants to local school systems under the program. The Interagency Commission on School Construction must develop standards for the mapping. There is one amendment to the bill offered by the chair on page 4 of your packet. If you recall, there was a floor amendment offered by Senator Kagan that would prohibit a custodian of these records or require the custodian to deny inspection under the Public Information Act. After consultation with counsel in the House, there was a determination made that the House preferred that provision to be in the general provisions article under the Public Information Act, and that is what this amendment does. It just moves that provision over to that part of the law. It does. The amendment prohibits a custodian of these records from disclosing them under the Public Information Act.
Okay, we have a motion, moving the amendment from Vice Chair Kagan, second from Senator Augustine. Any questions on this amendment in terms of the Public Information Act and disclosures and all that kind of thing? Okay, all in favor of that amendment, raise your hand. All opposed? That amendment carries. 472 as amended is in front of us. Vice Chair Kagan moves favorable. Second from Senator Augustine. Okay, we got the bill 472 as amended in front of us. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of 472 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed? That bill carries. Let's next go to Delegate Hutchinson, House Bill 481. Dara?
House Bill 481, Natural Resources Antlerless Deer Hunting Programs Authorization. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 367, which passed the Senate but was not voted unanimously. The bill authorizes a person to receive a raffle ticket for each antlerless deer hunted by the person during a raffle program that is held in January, has as its objective the hunting of antlerless deer, and was previously held at least once from January 1st, 2020 through January 30th, 2024 inclusive. There are no amendments. The vote for Senate Bill 367 was 9 votes to 2 in the committee and 43 votes to 2 on the Senate floor.
Senator Moutz's bill, and any questions or anybody need any refresher beyond what Dara just described? And again, it was a 9-2 vote here in the committee.
Any amendment?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No amendments.
No amendments. So the bill matches what the Moutz bill from. Okay, we had a motion favorable from Senator Gallion, a second from Senator Carrozza. Again, it wasn't a unanimous vote, so we'll do a roll call on this one, Lori.
All right, Senator Kagan,
Looking, sorry. This was the Mouse bill that I didn't like. Yeah, this is a no for me, please.
okay, Senator Kagan, no.
Thank you.
Senator Augustine?
Yes.
Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion?
Yeah.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson?
Yeah.
Senator Watson, yes. Senator Lewis Young?
No.
Senator Lewis Young, no. Senator Brooks?
Yeah.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carrozza?
Yes.
Senator Carrozza, yes. Senator Washington?
No.
Senator Washington, no. Senator Simonaire?
Yes.
Senator Simonaire, yes. And Senator Feldman?
Yes, the bill carries 7-3 this time. We're going to next go to House Bill 510, and this again this one did not have a crossfile from Delegate Stewart. So Alexis, why don't you remind everybody what this bill does?
All right, House Bill 510, Business Facade Improvement Program, eligible funding recipients. This bill adds a community development organization that serves at least one sustainable community as an eligible recipient of funds through the Department of Housing and Community Development's Business Facade Improvement Program. There are no amendments for our consideration, or no amendments submitted for our consideration.
Okay, questions for Alexis about House Bill 510? Okay, is there a motion?
Favorable.
Favorable motion from Vice Chair Kagan. Is there a second from Senator Brooks? Again, further discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 510, raise your hand. All opposed? The bill carries unanimously. Next up, Delegate Solomon. We've got Stacy. This was a cross-file to Senate Bill 395.
House Bill 569, Higher Education, Credit Eligibility and Transfer of Credits, English as a Second Language Courses, Credit for All Language Learning Call Act. This bill requires English as a second language or English language learner courses taken at a public community college, if those courses are not classified as remedial by the community college, to transfer to any institution of any public institution of higher education in the state as specified. A public institution of higher education in the state may not deny the transfer of such credits for any reason. A public community college must consider a course or program for ESL or English language learner as eligible for either world language or humanities elective credits, or both, toward a student's associate degree if the course is not classified as a remedial course. There is one amendment that's offered by Senator Augustine, who is the sponsor of the cross file. That's on page 7 of your packet. And this amendment would conform the bill to Senate Bill 395 as passed by the Senate. It provides that the language credits earned at a community college may be transferable to any private nonprofit institution of higher education in the state, and that institution must review and consider the transfer of these types of credits.
Okay, so this amendment conforms the bill to the way we passed 395. What was the vote on this in the committee?
I believe it was unanimous.
Okay, so we, just for that, got to move, let's move that amendment first from Senator Augustine, second from Vice Chair Kagan. All in favor of that conforming amendment, raise your hand. All opposed. We now have House Bill 569 as amended in front of us. Got a motion favorable, second from Vice Chair Kagan. Again, the bill passed unanimously last time around, the Senate version. All in favor, House Bill 569 with that amendment, raise your hand. All opposed, that bill carries unanimously. Let's next go to some bills that did not have crossfile, starting with 662 from Delegate Guyton. Stacy?
House Bill 662, large family child care homes and child care centers, child care teachers minimum age. This bill requires that regulations governing the registration and operation of large family child care homes and the licensing and operation of child care centers require that the child care teachers be a minimum age of 18. There are no amendments and there was no opposition at the hearing.
Okay, question. No amendments, no opposition. Any questions for Stacy? Any motions?
Move favorable.
Okay, Senator Augustine, favorable, second from Vice Chair Kagan. Any further discussion? All in favor, House Bill 662, raise your hand. All opposed, that bill carries unanimously. Next up, House Bill 678.
House Bill 678, Public Higher Education, Communities of Interest, Targeted Recruitment and Outreach Efforts. This bill requires each public four-year institution of higher education, excluding the University of Maryland Global Campus, to conduct targeted recruitment and outreach efforts each year. To that end, the other constituent institutions of the University System of Maryland, Morgan State University, and St. Mary's College of Maryland must each adopt and annually update a written policy that identifies communities of interest in the state, as well as the institution's targeted recruitment and outreach efforts for that community of interest, all with the goal of promoting diversity and inclusion at each institution by attracting and graduating a diverse student body committed to service. By August 1st, 2024, and annually thereafter, the affected constituent institutions of USM, MSU, and St. Mary's must report to the governor, the president of the Senate, the Speaker of the House on information regarding the implementation of the bill as specified. There are no amendments and there was no opposition at the hearing.
Okay, any questions? Again, no opposition. Again, no amendments?
No
I'm sorry.
amendments.
And we got a favorable motion from the Vice Chair. We got a second from Senator Augustine. Discussion, all in favor, House Bill 678. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I want to see your hand raised. I don't want any miscommunication here. Anybody opposed? Okay, we have one opposition from Senator. Oh, I apologize. Okay, so we have Senator Simoner and Senator Gallion or nays. Everybody else, so that's an 8-2 vote favorable on this bill. Senator Gallion again and Senator Simoner are in the red. Let's next move back to you, Stacy, on House Bill 760.
House Bill 760, Office of Legislative Audits, Local School Systems Report. This bill requires each local school system to submit a report to the Joint Audit and Evaluation Committee on the status of the implementation of corrective actions to address repeat findings and recommendations identified by the Office of Legislative Audits in the most recent 6-year audit. This report is due by November 1 of the third year of a 6-year audit cycle. Each local school system must publish the report on its website with any cybersecurity findings redacted in a manner consistent with auditing best practices. There are no amendments and there was no opposition at the hearing.
Okay, no amendments, no opposition. Vice Chair Kagan moves favorable. Senator Augustine second. Any discussions, question? Seeing none, all in favor of House Bill 760, raise your hand. All opposed, that bill carries unanimously. Let's go to the back page with Delegate Solomon Bill, House Bill 1115. Stacy?
House Bill 1115, County Boards of Education Budgets Notice, Transparency in Education Spending Act. This bill requires the State Board of Education to adopt a process for the uniform reporting of information in a County Board of Education budget to timely share the information provided by a County Board of Education in that budget to a county governing body. County boards must prepare their annual budget to include as major categories: first, specified current funds held in reserve; second, the amount of any federal funds received in the last fiscal year; and third, the amount of funds held in trust or otherwise dedicated toward long-term obligations for retiree healthcare costs or other post-employment benefits and information used to calculate the county board's obligations for these costs. The bill also alters certain notification requirements regarding the transfer of funds within and between major county board budget categories. There is one amendment in your packet on page 8 offered by Senator Brooks, who is the sponsor on the cross file of this bill. This is a consensus amendment that strikes the provisions relating to the transfer of funds between major categories from the bill, as the House and Senate differed and there was no consensus reached.
Okay, questions on this amendment? Senator Brooks, do you want to, anything on the amendment other than what Stacy?
We did, we struck everything that was in 5-105 to bring it into conformity, so. Yeah.
So the bills are aligned. Senator Carozza,
Thank you. I'm just playing a little
Yeah,
catch up
now
because
we
I think I was in and out on this.
wait here,
hearing.
why don't you just hold on one second? Any clarification
Yeah.
here, then we'll go to Senator Carozza about, Senator Augustine, did you?
The question and the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking if this is conforming, creating conforming bills or nay.
It will, because the House had a different way of handling the transfers than the Senate did. The parties got together and they could not resolve those two differences, and they decided to just take this provision out.
So the differences were removed entirely from both,
Correct,
leaving a bill that's conforming.
correct.
Right, so the
Okay.
bills are in identical posture, the two
Yeah.
differences have been removed in entirety, so that's.
Got it.
Okay, Senator Carozza, yes, question for
So-
Stacy.
This is the bill that originally that you worked on with Mako. Is that correct? Is that the?
Right, I mean, they were opposing initially, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh, no,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
maybe I don't.
Senator
okay.
Brooks, why don't you put your, via the mic, because we're on, being
Okay.
recorded here.
This is the bill that has been focused on transparency that Mako supported and gets into the transparency plus this issue of the transfer of funds.
That is correct. They just wanted to, so that the schools could make, the counties could make their judgments about the budgeting process timely. Yeah, this bill would allow them to do that and make sure that the school boards would report on a timely basis and then follow the existing guidelines that's already established for them reporting.
So I guess I need to better, if you wouldn't mind, can you walk through that? Because I remember that transfer issue was quite a discussion during the hearing. So I'm just trying to better understand where we ended up or where this is the House bill that's coming over here.
Correct. So
And we
that-
already moved, and we also moved, did we move SB 1026 as well, correct?
Correct.
So
So the bill as it came in would have required a county board that made a transfer between major categories of more than 1% of the total funding in the major category without the approval of the county commissioners or county council at the time. So it was the original was if there was a difference of 1% in the movement and the transfer of monies, then they would have to, they could not make that transfer unless they got approval of the county governing body.
So not just notification approval.
Correct.
Okay.
So then the Senate changed that to 10%. They upped the percentage point from 1% to 10%. The House, however, had quite a different, theirs was more complicated. It said this paragraph applies only to a local school system that receives at least 40% of its funding from the local government. So there was a whole process of determining who determined what 40% of the budget was, and there was timing issues. And so it would, MACO and the other parties could not resolve that difference, and the MACO itself sent the letter and the suggested amendments, and all the parties agreed to just remove that entire provision regarding transfers.
So there's no language about transfers in this bill,
Whatever is already in the law stays as it is,
which is what?
which is a transfer between major categories shall be made only with the approval of the county commissioners or county council. That's the bare language of the current statute.
Over a certain percentage, did you say?
Nope. No, the bill as it came in added the percentage of 1%. There'd never been a percentage in the law previously.
So now you're saying the law requires the approval of the transfer?
A transfer between major categories
Which
shall be
within-
made
within the
only
Board
with,
of
right.
So we're talking the Board of Education budget.
Mhm.
Current law, you're saying is it already requires?
Yes. So what happened at the hearing is there was a disagreement about how much communication was occurring.
Right.
The local board said, look, we generally have extensive conversations with the counties on these issues. They discussed, the CFOs of 3 counties came in and said, we meet monthly. Every time we have this, we come and we talk to you, and we sit down and we have a conversation about major transfers and what's in the budget and all of these issues. The county executives, for some reason, came in and had a different view and said that they're not getting enough information, which I believe was the impetus for having a percentage put into the bill. So I think what happened is MACO and the county executive said, well, we need a percentage, and the locals said that percentage is tiny, and so that was, and they just could not come to an agreement as to what the appropriate percentage would be. And they decided that given the short time left in session, it wasn't something they were the whole bill was in jeopardy
So
of
right,
not
so
making it.
current law then would be that they are required to
Yes.
seek approval for any transfer
A transfer between major categories.
between major
So
categories.
the locals said, we already do that because we keep you informed, but there's not like a formal process for the most part. It's not like the county governing body has to sit down and have a formal vote.
So do they
provide
define a
notification.
major transfer or not?
That is done in another provision of the law as to what is required to be had in a local school system's budget. There's a whole provision in the education article that describes exactly what has to be in a county board's budget.
So, I mean, I think part of this is, it's the transparency that in this bill, but and you're correct about the communications in need of improvement. But as I also understand this, this bill should be strengthening. One of the reasons why I think the transfer issue became important is because of the funding with the blueprint and the accountability with those funds. So I guess.
Well, it doesn't strike everything. It only strikes the transfer language. There's multiple parts of this bill, including that they have to publish certain information on their school website, that MSDE is responsible for adopting a process for the uniform reporting of the information in subsection B, to timely share the information with the county boards. There's a description here, current funds held in reserve. It discusses the description of what federal funds are received in the last fiscal year, current funds held and reserved and the types of funds that have to be disclosed, the amount of funds held in trust or otherwise dedicated to long-term. So it still provides quite a bit of transparency in describing various categories. It just does not have those percentages attached to the transfers.
Okay. So the new, that what you just recited would be new requirements of what would now be public.
Correct.
Okay. Okay,
So
thank
the only
you.
thing excluded is this percentage thing. There is all these other provisions are still in the bill that we have in front of us, so. Okay, any further discussion, conversation? Anybody want to move the bill?
Amendment.
Oh, we need the amendment, yes, okay, let's start. Anybody want to move the amendment?
Move the
Okay, Vice Chair Kagan, who's the amendment, Senator Brooks. As a second, all in favor of this amendment? Raise your hand. All opposed? Any further conversation about House Bill 1115 as amended? Okay, seeing none. Okay, discussion. What was the vote the last time around, just on the crossfall, just out of curiosity?
On the Senate bill, let's see, it is,
Was it unanimous? I think it might have been.
let's see, it was,
11-0.
yeah.
Okay, so it was
11-0.
unanimous vote the last time. Okay, all in favor of the motion on the bill as amended, House Bill 1115 as amended, raise your hand. Yeah, we had a motion from. Oh, okay, you're right. Let's go back to, we have an amendment that's been moved by, we got Sarah Augustine.
Brooks bill.
Okay, it was a Brooks bill, absolutely. Brooks, move favorable, second from Sarah Augustine. Okay, we got the bill as amended in front of us. House Bill 1115 as amended, everybody raise your hand. All opposed. Bill carries. Last bill on this list is House Bill 1244, the approval bill that it's Senator King was on the work group along with Senator Watson, that bill, if you recall, and we're going to go to you, Stacy, on
That's
House Bill 1244.
House Bill 1244, Maryland Higher Education Commission Academic Program Approval and Institutional Mission Statements Requirement. This bill establishes a new process for academic program approval and institutional mission statements based on identifying state and regional workforce needs. To that end, the bill requires a comprehensive analysis of statewide workforce needs by designated agencies, integrates these needs into the state plan for higher education, and establishes new review processes for academic programs to ensure alignment with workforce demands. The bill also incentivizes collaboration between institutions for program development and enhances the evaluation of mission statements to maintain distinctiveness among public higher education institutions. In addition, the Maryland Higher Education Commission must review existing programs as specified and establish a counsel and procedures guide related to the review process. Further, the bill establishes separate processes for the approval of graduate programs and requires MHEC to establish a separate process for online programs. Finally, the bill establishes the proposed programs collaborative grant fund. This bill is not in the same posture as Senate Bill 1022. And the amendments you'll find on page 9 as offered by the chair strike all of the House amendments that would have limited which institutions could propose and implement certain graduate level academic programs during a certain period of time unless any of the described institutions did not submit a program proposal within 2 years. That has been stricken by those amendments.
So this puts the bill in the posture that we passed it out.
Right, it would be
out of this
identical to
committee.
Senate Bill 1022 as passed by the Senate.
Vice Chair, who has, let's, we've got our representative on that work group, Senator Watson. Questions for Stacy?
Yeah, thanks, Stacy. I know there was some back and forth between the House and the Senate, and Senator King was quite upset that, the House tried to amend some things and she struck everything. So reverting back to the original is what Senator King did. I have just a couple questions, Stacy.
Sure.
Does this bill, I'm reading a comment, tell me if this is true.
Okay.
It limits unnecessarily duplication to graduate programs rather than all non-core programs, regardless of degree level as required by Fordyce.
Correct.
It does do that.
Right. It's in line with the finding of the court in the coalition versus the state lawsuit.
So only graduate programs.
Correct.
Does it change the appeal of the secretary's decision from the commission to the secretary? Does it change the appeal of the secretary's decision from the commission to the secretary?
So essentially, that's a semantic decision. What happens is the commission itself has the final approval. And a program, an institution submits to the department, in this case, MHEC. They submit to the secretary for review a program proposal. And then the secretary and their staff, they review this proposal, and then they make a determination on that proposal. They either approve it, or somebody can file an objection. Another institution may come in and file an objection. And then the secretary reviews that objection, and they make a decision or a determination as whether to accept the objection or to approve the program or reject the program. If they decide to go to a full hearing, the secretary comes and defends their decision in front of the full commission. And then the other institution who's objecting and the institution that's proposing the program may each come in and defend their proposal and their objection. And finally, the commission will make a final determination based on that hearing. So the change in the language was because it's initially the secretary's determination that is being subject to the hearing and approval process. That's all.
Okay, so just let me go back to that first comment. So just bear with me. So the Fordyce decision was a decision based on all programs. It wasn't just narrowed down to graduate programs only. Is that right?
So the Fordyce decision essentially, in their language, said that all graduate programs are unique, whereas undergraduate programs are not necessarily all unique. So when they were making that distinction for unnecessary program duplication, it would apply to all graduate level programs, but not all undergraduate level programs. And that is why the language is in there that way.
Can I just add, just on a process question? So obviously the House and Senate bills are in a different posture. We send the bill back the way we sent it out the first time. This may end up with a conference committee. I did want to just say that.
So we can go to a conference. That's what I was
yeah,
getting at.
I mean,
Okay.
that's what this probably could end up there. And I'd also say, just for purpose of, generally speaking, if you vote against the bill, you're most sort of informal. You don't get to be on a conference committee. So just for what it's worth, I'd just put it out there for information. If you vote yes, then you're on, you're on the conference. You can very well be on that conference committee. So I think this one seems, yeah. So I'll just put that out there for what it's worth. Seems likely to be heading.
So can I move the amendment?
Sure. We got a motion from Senator Watson, a second from Senator Washington. All in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. All opposed, the amendment carries. We now have in front of us House Bill 1244 as amended. Motion from Senator Watson, a second from Senator Washington. Any further discussion, conversation? No? Okay.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna note that
Sure.
both the Senate version in the Senate and the House version in the House both passed committee and the full bodies unanimously.
Right, which is why I think where this may be heading. So, okay, well, all in favor of the bill 1244 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed. Okay, that bill carries unanimously. We will send it forward, and then I think again it's likely we may find ourselves in a conference committee situation. Okay, whether you realize it or not, we just passed 46 House bills. Now we are going to complete our work for today with 4 Senate bills. Voting list number 30. We're going to start with Senator Augustine's bill, Dara, Senate Bill 685.
Senate Bill 685, Program Open Space, Use of Property and Renewable Energy and Storage. This bill authorizes the use of land that is acquired or developed with funds available under Program Open Space to be used for the generation of electricity from a solar or wind source and the storage of electricity in certain energy storage devices. There is one amendment from Senator Augustine. It's on page 2 of your package for voting list number 30. The amendment specifies that any decision to use funds under the bill on property owned or managed by the Department of Natural Resources shall be at the sole discretion of the department.
Augustine, you want to explain the amendment a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said in the bill hearing, we heard, obviously, we're trying our best to figure out how we're going to be able to meet our goals for renewable energy. And we've got a number of bills here that are trying to do that. And it has been our policy to try to do things that encourage it. One of the areas of concern is where are we actually going to put this stuff? And so we had the conversation, I had that conversation with the Department of Natural Resources, explaining that, and they shared that there are certain places that they own, property that they own, brownfields, and also just some other things like a cannery that would be, with their discretion and their study, sites that could help us meet our goals by being able to have either the, for example, solar and or storage. And so that was the genesis of the bill. There's, you know, there was definitely some contention with it. I think from a policy standpoint, I think it is in line with the other policies that we are doing that are also contentious in order for us to help meet our renewable energy goals. And so that's why I'm bringing it forward with the amendment. And just for sake of conversation, I'll move the amendment.
We have a motion on the amendment. Is there a second? Second from Senator Lewis Young. Okay, Vice Chair Kagan, you have some questions. We have the amendment in front of us right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question, Senator Augustine. Chesapeake Bay Foundation had come in against this bill.
Yep.
With this amendment. Are they good?
No, and I shared it with them. They have not opined for or against since the time that we have it. So I don't know that. I don't know that.
How, okay, DNR, Department of Natural Resources and Maryland Association of Counties both asked for amendments. Is this
It has
responsive
the
to them?
DNR, it is the DNR amendments. Again, I shared it also with Mako, and they, as I said, they still had some level of uncertainty, but some of it was also just understanding, and I expressed that to them, the bill, that their concern was, as was some of the others, that there would be money taken away from that section of the program, open space, that dollars that are used to purchase. But that's not what this is. This is providing flexibility for the existing use of property that they already own.
So, so I know this is an important bill.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's no crossfile. In a way, we've got a lot of time. In a way, we don't have a lot of time. I'm personally curious about Maryland Association of Counties, Mako, and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And I wonder, Mr. Chair, are we going to be voting
Yes,
tomorrow
yeah,
before
we are-
committee dinner?
Yes, we are voting
I'm good
tomorrow,
with that.
so
Can we do that?
let's
Yeah.
hold this till tomorrow so you
Absolutely.
can,
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Appreciate
want to
that.
get out here in conversation.
Yep.
It's good.
so,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
Thank you.
we will be voting tomorrow and
And then,
Thursday as well, I believe. So just, again, we're gonna have to do a lot of voting this week. Okay, we're gonna hold that and we're gonna go to Senate Bill 713. Alexis,
Senate
Senator
Bill
Kramer.
Yep, Senate Bill 713, Security Systems Technicians Applicants Authority to Practice. This bill authorizes an individual to provide security system services without a registration if they submitted an application which was not rejected and received an application number. Similarly, it allows an individual to access circumventional information that has the potential to alter the operation of a security system if they have submitted an application, again, that was not rejected and received an application number. There are no amendments for us to consider on this bill.
Okay, so this is a clean bill straight up. Any questions for Alexis? Recall the bill, Senator Carozza.
I'm just trying to understand the bill. This says the bill authorizes an individual who submitted an application to the Secretary of the State Police.
So it's
It just allows them to, what does it
To
allow them to do?
practice before they receive the formal registration if they have submitted an application. So there are several things that they have to do: submit an application, complete a background check, in order to have their application approved, and in order to have a registration, like a formal registration. So while the applications are pending, they will be able to perform those security systems technicians services.
Yeah, yes, Senator Gallion?
It's like the same, it's the same posture as the House, right? The past 141 to 0.
Yes.
Okay.
No amendments to it, identical.
I don't think there was opposition. I think I guess there's a shortage of folks. And so this gives them sort of a contingent status. I think they get some kind of forget, what is it? What was it? Some
Get
kind of a special
application
little number that shows that they're in but the will of the body. I'm just saying we could have a further conversation. Well, yeah, Sir Augustine, Sir Vice Chair Kagan, I mean, any questions or concerns or what before we do anything with the bill? Okay, there are no amendments. Yeah. Senator Gallion.
This lead to issues with secure information getting out without a background check.
I don't recall that issue coming up at all. Alexis, do you recall anything?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that during the testimony.
Could
so.
you clarify, give me a scenario again, give me a scenario. What information, who would disclose it who are we talking?
I was wondering, we're dealing with these security systems. I just wanted to be double sure before we voted something
Right.
out.
Okay, so this is a background checks performed by state police.
Right.
And they didn't weigh in opposition to the bill or anything. Here, let's hold this one too. Okay, I mean, if there's any.
The bill.
Okay,
If
well, is people
anybody wants
comfortable
to-
voting the bill one way or the other, or do you want to hold it to figure out some more information? Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's hold this. Let's hold it till tomorrow, just so everybody can get familiar. Sure, yeah.
Alexis, in the hearing, Frank Boston said that he would send us testimony because there was no written testimony.
Mhm.
I just messaged him. I haven't seen it. Do you know if we've gotten any as the
Yeah, I
committee?
haven't. I'm not sure. Nothing directly came to me.
Okay, maybe we could see if we can get something from him that might inform our conversation for tomorrow.
Okay.
I just texted him as well.
Okay, we'll put it on the list for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to back to you, Dara, on Senate Bill 932.
Senate Bill 932, Maryland Agricultural BMP Best in Show Program established. This bill establishes the Maryland Agricultural BMP, which stands for Best Management Practices, Best in Show Program focused on a coordinated approach to funding and implementation of multiple agricultural best management practices, or BMPs, to achieve the greatest impact. The bill also establishes a Maryland Agricultural BMP Best in Show account in the Department of Agriculture to fund the program. There was no opposition. There was one amendment from the sponsor. The amendment starts on page 3 with a reprint beginning on page 6 of your package. The amendment alters the purpose of the fund and requires the department to develop a list of high priority best management practices, develop criteria for evaluating applications, develop a payment schedule, and develop a map that prioritizes areas of the state for funding. The amendment also removes application requirements as well as evaluation and publication requirements on the part of the department. I think I said, but just to reiterate, there was no opposition.
Senator Gallion.
Hearing, and I've talked to the ag secretary, talked with the bill sponsor. I think the bill's fine, but I have a problem. The bottom part of the title, when you say best in show in the agriculture community, first thing you think about is 4-H shows. So it sounded like the department was fine if they changed that title, but I honestly, I don't know what change to do. But to me, that's when you hear best in show, you're thinking of farm fairs and 4-H auctions, and it's all related to agriculture. So I think we need to change that up somehow.
Okay, Vice Chair Kagan.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Gallion, because the House bill hasn't moved yet either out of the House, it seems like if we wanted to change the title, even though that doesn't go in the code, I agree with you that it is a little confusing. That best management practices seems like a really good plan. So maybe a little amendment for a title and then we toss it out or something.
Well, or
So I would support you
since
on
we don't
that.
have an alternative on the table, we could. Well, there's several options. I mean, okay, since you brought up the topic of title, do you want to think about a modest title change or not for purposes of tomorrow, putting this on a bill, or we could put a floor, if you're inclined to support the bill, then you could do a floor amendment with talk to the sponsor. You could talk to the sponsor and come up with a kind of mutually agreeable change to the title. I'm not sure. Vice Chair Kagan.
Can we just make it really easy, which is on line 19 and anywhere else on page 2 and in all the other places, just put brackets around best in show. So Maryland Agriculture BMP program, and then it talks about have the following meanings. Best management practice is on line 29.
I think the reason they have a title, because there's already best management practices that are used or in different ways. I think this is trying to name this.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So it's
Okay,
not
why don't we
as
do
easy
this?
as
Because
that. Never mind.
I wouldn't want to make that kind of change without at least having a conversation with the bill sponsor. So why don't you reach out to Senator Elfrith?
Yeah.
Maybe you come up with a new name and we can put that on amendment, to put this on the list tomorrow again. Just again, some of these are small, but it's not enough. Other days not going to make a difference. Okay, let's so you'll connect with Senator Elfrith about this issue. Senator Carrozza's bill, it will be the final bill we take up, Senate Bill 1034. And we're going to go to you, Alexis, on Senate Bill 1034.
All right, Senate Bill 1034, 911 Specialist Recruitment and Retention Work Group. This bill establishes the 911 Specialist and Retention Work Group to identify and examine recruitment and retention strategy challenges that affect 911 specialists throughout the state. The work group will be staffed by DLS and the Department of Emergency Management, and the final report is due December 1st, 2025. Conforming amendments are on pages 16 through 20. We're beginning on page 16 of our packet. And it requires the work group to review reports submitted by the commission to advance next generation 911 access across Maryland. And again, this conforms the bill to the House version.
Yeah, the House bill has passed over here unanimously. Senator Carrozza, you want to add anything on the amendments or anything else to the bill? Okay, you want to move those conforming amendments? Okay, we've got Senator Carrozza moving. You want to be a sponsor? Okay, before we take up those amendments, anybody want to be on this bill? Anybody else want to be on this bill? We've got we've got Senator Simonaire, Vice Chair Kagan, Senator Augustine.
You are not.
You are not. Senator Gallion, Senator Washington. Anybody else? Senator Lewis Young, Senator Brooks. Anybody else? Okay, Senator Feldman. Anybody else? Okay, you got all those names?
I have. I think
Okay.
so I have.
All in favor of
Senator-
this? Would you want
should I
to
call
reel
them
off the
back out?
names again?
Okay, Senator Gallion, Simonaire, Kagan, Augustine, Senator Washington, Senator Lewis Young, Senator Brooks, Senator Feldman.
Okay,
All right.
we got it.
I just have a quick question. for the
Sure.
Sponsor. So
Wanna
Senator
take up
Carrozza.
the sponsor amendment first.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
All in favor of the sponsor amendment, raise your hand. All opposed, go the sponsorship amendment line is now changed with that amendment. Vice Chair Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love that they have to review my reports and I have a bunch of copies of them in my office. So let me know if you need copies. But as you know, Senator Carrozza, workers' comp for PTSD for 911 specialists is a big issue, and Delegate Hill and I have been working on that for a long time. The House and Senate both thought that a summer study work group type thing would be a good way to go to that. I was scanning this really quickly. Rather than having two different work groups, does it make sense to try to incorporate workers' comp into this? Or do you think that it's the language in your bill is broad enough to incorporate that? And I'm okay with either answer. I just want to.
I would think we can include it in this, and I'm really kind of using this model of what we've done for law enforcement and for fire EMS. And
Yes.
so I thought we would take that broader approach.
Alexis, do you see any problem with including, would this cover workers' comp for PTSD and the, I always
Yeah.
forget the word, Mr. Chair.
Let's see,
Presumption,
I guess the only question is,
presumption.
we would amend the House bill and
Yeah.
send it back over.
Let me scan the language one more time. It may be,
So I'm looking at those who
Cover.
retire and hire and salary and health, retirement benefits, I don't think covers it.
it says,
Health, pension.
so on page 3, line 15, make recommendations regarding the effectiveness and viability of uniform incentives.
I don't think that's it.
Okay.
Incentives would be more salary and vacation and
And we're trying to address, did you say?
PTSD for workers'
Oh,
comp.
okay, sorry.
It's a
I read
totally different thing.
PTSD is, my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Can I suggest this, because I don't like doing this on the fly? Why don't you also check with the House sponsor, because this bill, we start changing it, it's gonna have to go back. Just what I don't want to do is we send it back and they don't like this language. Let's kind of have at least if somebody could have a conversation with the House sponsor, just make sure that we send something back over that's gonna fly and we're not gonna go into this back and
It'll be-
forth situation. So yes, Senator Gallion?
Quick update on the bill we held about the
Okay.
title, so everybody knows what's going on. Senator Elfrith and the Secretary Addicts are on this and trying to figure this out to have something for us tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. On this one, before we make this possible modification tomorrow, let's hold this. But I would like to have a little sense from the House sponsor. Who is the House sponsor?
Mike Rogers, I'm texting him now.
Okay, yeah. So why don't we, between the vice chair and you, connect with Delegate Rogers and make sure that they're okay on their end, so we don't have they can just concur and all that kind of thing. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so these bills will roll till tomorrow, but we still did pass 46 House bills, so it's not, this was a good work session. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. Okay, we good? Okay.